Are you guys ready for a bit of sci-fi mood and vibe today? Well, if so, you are just right. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Arcades and the single rail coaster introduction to our hansaetic Sci-Fi Expo. For those of you who are not briefed into this project yet, this is an ongoing park I have been starting at the very beginning of Planet Coaster 2. And we actually called it a day for a bit, and now we are back in Season 2. And what I'm doing is I am finally finishing my huge expo hall. When the Sci-Fi Pack was reintroduced to Planet Coaster 2, I decided to go in and go for a sci-fi haul. But like as so often, I just completely went all over the place and it was just way too big to make it back in the day. But now we are here. We are back. We have a lot of cool new things. We have a great new DLC. We have a great amount of new things from the arcades. We have a lot of new tools. We have a lot of actually a good new graphics update, as it seems to. It's not been in any of the update notes, but it seems to be quite visible. A lot of people have been noticing lately, including me. So I was willing to go back. And you're looking at some rather old footage today, which is almost like 2 months old, to be honest, when the arcades were released. And I waited for that because, as you guys know, I knew what the DLC is going to bring because I had played the DLC in March already. So I knew that a single rail coaster, the Raptor, is actually going to be brought in. And so I didn't want to finish this episode back in the day because it would have been kind of hilarious to bring that in. So you're still seeing on screen the old one, the T-Rex track from the good old Planet Coaster days that has been brought over into Planet Coaster 2. But obviously the T-Rex has never been done by RMC other than a concept. And yeah, it's been a 50-50 back in the day when Frontier decided to bring in the game. One of the two single rail concepts of RMC. They opted for the two-seater, the so-called T-Rex track back in the day, but RMC ended up using the Raptor instead. And so this is what we finally got, one of the most anticipated and most requested rides finally in game. But before we had that ride, I was building this huge kind of area around the flat ride over here. I had this idea to break the entire hall over here, the sci-fi hall, break it into a couple of sections. So the one section we have off the side, and if you guys are interested, the whole playlist of hansaetic Dreamland, highly recommend check out the Sci-Fi Arcade episodes, or actually the Sci-Fi Expo, I should say. This is where we established some of the flat rides, a retro futuristic kind of vibe going on with also restaurant area, and this is something what we have. But pair that also with the event points that are coming, we are turning finally this into the deserved area that it is. So we are building this kind of multi-layer arcade over here, which is going to look really sick. I gotta say, you'll see that in a little bit of an in-game part at the end. I'm not going to do a super long in-game part. The reason for that is I'm almost done with everything and we are almost off to go on holidays. But then I also want to ensure that you get the full experience once the entire area is done. I don't want to spoil it too much. But yeah, this episode is also going to be a bit different this time around. I will be talking you through 1 or 2 more minutes now, and then I will leave you alone with a bit of very cool retro futuristic music and just the pure kind of speed build. And I'll be back with you then in a bit later in the time lapse when we build a custom support actually for the new layout of the coaster, and I'll be talking you through the new layout a little bit. But let me just talk you through the idea of that multi-layer arcade. So we've done a couple of arcades already in the game, but especially over here I wanted to do a sci-fi themed one, and it's been a lot more work than I was actually expecting it to be. There's like a lot of things I needed to do in order to just get it done in a way that I like it. You know, it's been a bit of a challenge because I wanted to have a very detailed ceiling light system over here. As you can see, we're working on one, but I also wanted to have all the arcade machines be styled in the way that they look really like either like a console, like a futuristic console, but like also like a maybe like a little, I don't know, walkway, sci-fi walkway, just like very themed in that kind of sense. And it just takes a long time to theme these things. I'm also building all like custom fences fences and all these kind of things. And I want to kind of bring this all together in a, well, I think this vibe for the centerpiece, like this is going to be the multi-layer centerpiece dividing the retro-futuristic and the more modern futuristic part. And I think the middle is going to be a mixture of Star Trek and Star Wars kind of style sci-fi approach. So we do have all kind of sci-fi looks inside of this Sci-Fi Expo, which is also going to be paired with all the little displays we are going to have later on. And by displays, I mean event points that will either let some planets play. Oh, by the way, here you can see one of these few little things I did. The Q Invader is like a very simple styling of the machines that we have next to the queue of that flat ride. And the flat ride itself obviously is kind of the operating engine of that area. I wanted to have this flat ride being really cool with a lot of near miss elements, because you have just that like flat ride in the center of the arcade, and you will always constantly have that roar of arcades are allowed anyways, so it's fine to have a flat ride in this section. If you go here, you know it's gonna be loud. So that is pretty cool, because you have that roar of that flat ride in the center, and you've got all these beeps and bops going on of the arcade around, which is really cool. I enjoy that throughoutly. But it's been quite the puzzle to bring this all together. This is also why you can see there's a lot of footage already cut out here, and that I used to be having before. And I was trying to do a couple of things here to style this specific control room to make it also kind of fit in the entire idea much better. I'm generally very proud of this area, how it turned out to be looking. It is really cool to have the ability now to build all of that. But as promised, I will leave you alone now with this very cozy, cool kind of retro music. I love that retro futuristic music. I love it. Can really listen to that all day. But yeah, I'll talk to you in a couple minutes. Enjoy. Here's some good music for you. Okay then, hello. Yeah, you can see the layout is pretty much done, and I guess you have seen that, and I just wanted to join in to quickly talk about the layout and what I've been doing with this. I cut out most of the smoothing. You can see I rebuilt some of the shaping now, but the smoothing was done off screen. I had in mind to make this layout very similar to the old one, and that is mostly due to the reason that the old one already made sense in the way that I knew exactly where the coaster would go. And so what essentially I was adding is this little bit in and out kind of part in the center of the area, which is exactly what we are going to tackle right now with this build. So I made this in and out kind of little helix, almost like, you know, it looks like a little knot that goes into the middle, and it just switches above its own track and goes back into what it has been the outer layout beforehand anyways. And I wanted to have like this one tower section in the middle, which is also pairing as the main kind of support tower for this whole thing. And we are using, just like as always, I would say, we are using the rotational trick. And I'm already kind of jealous because in Planet Zoo 2, we will have the mirror and rotational option without platforms. They just have that implemented now in the normal building tools, which I'm already jealous of. And please, Frontier, if you're watching, the day Planet Zoo 2 releases, please give us the option to. I don't want to abuse these platforms anymore. They don't need to suffer me using them as a mirror all the time. It's not needed, okay? Yeah, but in any case, I am very proud of this build at the end of the day because it fits this area quite. You will see we are changing this design of the tower quite a couple of times because I wanted to ensure I match the kind of vibe I've went for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. I don't know how long it's almost like a year it's been since I built these sci-fi arcades over here, or sci-fi arcades. I keep calling them arcades, but it's like the sci-fi expo. These little things in the middle, I thought I was using them, but they're just a placeholder because I will be changing them later on when I figured that some of the float pieces just work perfectly fine. In general, I must admit that the float pieces are such a great addition to the game. Like, they are worth it to be called actual pieces. I'm not sure why Frontier didn't advertise them better, because they just kind of neglected them almost like in the counting of pieces for the new DLC. But in fact, you have 300 somewhat pieces for the small town set, but over 200 pieces for the floats as well. And these pieces are great. Most of them are very generic shapes. However, they have different textures right now, which kind of makes the idea even more prone now that why wouldn't we have just the simple art shapes, and why can we not just switch out textures? At this point, you would completely reduce the bloatiness of the menu, and you would add such a great layer of creative freedom and yet also straightforward user experience. I would love to see them do this, because now, especially with the floats, it's the best showcase. We have a lot of cylinders, we have a lot of platforms, we have a lot of small disc size kind of things, and we've like five of them, which are exactly the same piece, but like one is wood, one is sand, one is metal, one is plastic, and the other one is marble. And that's literally the 5 we have, and they're all like the same size, same whatever. The only thing they have different is obviously the texture. So having the ability to just have a form factor and then switch out a texture, especially for like basic building pieces, that would be so amazing. I would be loving that so much. But yeah, you can see now we're building the shape of the tower over here. Very happy, very pleased with how that all came together. At the end of the day, it's exactly that kind of support structure that pairs as a exhibit piece, and this is also going to receive like a little display with explanation what that is, what that should mimic, and what kind of part of the expo that is. And yeah, the single rail coaster fits just so much better into that area. It is smaller, it is more narrow, it just has that relation to the hall, and it just fits in so much better. The T-Rex worked for the most part, but it was a bit on the bigger side in relation to the rest of the build itself. But this build specifically now with the single rail coaster, I have the feeling it just pairs perfectly, and the whole coaster makes a lot more sense than the T-Rex version before was. So I finally like this area quite a lot. We will do a lot more custom supporting in here, just because that's needed. But yeah, as I said, I am incredibly happy, and it just really adds to the rest that is already in here. So let's jump in and have a look how it does look in game.